take off.
Welcome viewers, myself Krishna Shankar and Muskan. Welcome from the Millennium School, Sitapur Road. We will be hosting the show for today's with us, Bindu Rana.
We are honored to introduce and interview our guest, Dr. Bindu Rana, founder and CEO of the Millennium Education Management, a successful entrepreneur who believes knowledge and together under effective guidance Millennium Education Management. Limited has received Global School Award 2018 for the School Chain of the Year.
So, madam, we would request you with some few questions to provide us with the questions.
Alright, my pleasure to be with all of you and all the young bright kids.
Thank you. Question number 1. Ma'am, behind every successful man, there is a woman, but behind every successful woman, there will be families and friends. Kindly share who is the main person
Behind my success, definitely my husband and definitely my two very cooperative children who have stood behind me for everything. So I used to travel, for days. They've managed homes, they have encouraged me. I studied 16 years after my marriage, and my husband was always there behind me, encouraging me and supporting me. So definitely my husband and my two children. They've been fabulous, and all family friends, my family friends as well as my in-laws, my parents. I think I owe them everybody a lot. So they definitely are my success.
That's great. Mom, you were the architect of the largest private sector research and development initiative in the education sector. Can you enlighten us with your experience?
Yes, it's been one of the most amazing experiences. So this was in 2004. The idea was that how do we bring a change in education? What do we have to do? And to do something, you need to do a lot of research. You need to find out. You need to, go back into the past. You have to actually predict the future. You have to look at what resources you have currently. How are you going to do something that matches? Take the best from the past. Bring whatever resources you have so that you can take it to the future. So we began with just a one-member team. That was me. I started the R&D with just one person. And then we moved to more than 200 or 300 people eventually who actually did this kind of research. And I think the idea was to bring in novelty. Now, if we had brought in the same people who had done research earlier, we would have had the similar product. Right? We needed fresh thinking, we needed fresh people who were... So when we created the school product, we looked at everybody that constitutes a school. We don't look at, like for example, we always believe that educationists is the ones who are going to make the schools work. Even somebody who designs a building has to understand the new future school, right? So we had architects. We looked at people who create furniture, for example. So in a classroom, how can learning happen if there are different ways of sitting arrangements? Simple things like that. Does learning happen in a conducive manner if children are put in groups? So if they are put in groups, should the furniture be linear or should it be flexible? Should it be able to move from one thing to another? So we made sure that every person who is the ecosystem of a school are put in a team. So we had academicians, we had new people who actually thought differently, we had engineers, we had MBAs, we had architects, we had furniture designers, we had principals, we had teachers, we had youngsters. In fact, a lot of our pilot on what to teach and how to teach was done by children. They would come and give us ideas that if we were in a classroom and our teacher was teaching us, this is how we would like it. Right? So creating that was a fabulous experience, and at every step we learned from everybody. So making the entire R&D took us a lot of time, but once we had set it up, I think we were on our goal. We've created the largest repository in the entire world, I would say. The amount of books we've written, the amount of teaching curriculum we have, the question banks, the teaching strategies. have been phenomenal. So I can't even visualize, how we managed to do it. But I think the team we had, the people we had, the passion we had, it was outstanding.
When can everyone achieve more?
Yes, so the moral of the story was that a general without his army is nothing, right? So the army has to be a go-getter, and we had a go-getter team. So that's what we did.
Congrats.
Thank you.
Ma'am, next question. Ma'am, which is the moment in your life when you almost gave up? How you felt about that and what you did instead of giving up?
To be honest, I never gave up. Yeah, there were moments where one felt a little low at times that you were putting in so much effort, and sometimes for some reason somebody would just come and make, didn't want to use it, so would come and criticize it and things like that. But we sort of would analyze it rationally and look at it and say, fine, the person has not been exposed to this kind of thing. So instead of us getting upset, let's just change our goal. So instead of telling the person that you need to use it, we started actually speaking across the table and saying, what do you think you could have done if you were on our side? So that got the person thinking, and when the person kept thinking and talking to us, it eventually realized that he was halfway towards what we were already achieving, right? So yes, there are times that all of us feel a little low. There are times that one feels, upset about small things. But if your goal is clear, if you know that you have a goal to reach, and that goal is based on a mission, the mission becomes stronger than any challenges. For example, if you have to run a 100-meter hurdle race, you're not worried about the hurdles. No? You are looking that within a certain period of time, you have to finish that 100-meter dash. So your focus is not on the hurdles. Your focus is on reaching the target. So that's what I did. Every time the hurdle came, I would problem solve it and say, okay, so this hurdle is this much distance, this is how it's going to be achieved. Therefore, it would delay our process a little bit, but we never gave up. We kept fighting and we kept jumping and we kept running and we sort of achieved. So, do I have any experience to tell you how I felt? I wish I had an answer to that, but really, I think I just don't have a give up attitude. It doesn't matter what. I just keep pursuing it.
No pain, no gain.
Yes, absolutely, I agree.
Mom, what initiative do you think that there should be a change in the way of curriculum and the pedagogic thoughts are practiced in the education industry? What are the changes?
I experienced, so what initiated me to think?
Yes.
Right? My children were small. They were part of the school education system. I saw three things happening in front of me. I saw my children wanting to achieve something. I saw their capability was something, and I saw the education system offering something else. So all three didn't match. So how do you align the three and ensure that every child is a successful child? So when I watched my own children, when I watched a lot of other children, because I was associated with education from day one in my life after I had graduated, I would see this every time. I would see, when I organized my own office, I saw a lot of people who had actually spent 18, 20, 25 years doing IITs and MBAs from one of the best institutes in the world, coming to us and saying, we want to quit. So then that made me think that, if somebody is investing 18, 20 years of their life in school and not really achieving anything, then of what use is that education system? Isn't it? So the idea was that it sort of triggered a lot of thoughts. Then when we were hiring a lot of people, we realized that none of them had the skills that were required. They may have scored 90%, they knew their content, but there was no problem solving ability. There was no decision-making ability. They couldn't communicate properly. So education needs to teach them that. You may be learning history, but at the end of the history session, you should have been able to analyze what you can take from that history session and bring it to the future, or bring it to the present, and then create that. Sorry?
How can we utilize the knowledge that we have got?
Yes. You need to make education like this, that whatever you learn, you need to apply it. Only then true education happens. So this was what got me motivated. And the journey just began. We started with making preschool thinking that, 2 to 5 years old, what do they need? And then of course the journey kept continuing and continuing, and we are still on that journey trying to see how we can keep improving it.
And being an entrepreneur, you will be traveling around most of the time. What is the desirable item that you carry?
Oh, what is a desirable item? Definitely my mobile phone. And what is it that I carry? A pair of clothes, I guess. That's obvious. But are you asking me a gadget, or are you asking me for something?
Any item.
So yeah, there is one item I always carry, and that is my dry fruit packet. Because I'm hungry all the time, and I need to keep eating a little bit, but I can't eat a lot of heavy food. So I do carry a little pouch in my purse, which you will find all the time, which has got a lot of walnuts, and it will have a little bit of dates, and it will have some little things that I keep munching. So that is my best friend actually, my phone and my little pouch. So,
Ma'am, your views of today's generation.
I honestly think that the universe hasn't seen a brighter lot than today's youth. So the only thing I fear is that today's youth are getting overconfident on their abilities. That's the only thing I think that they need to curtail and think through. The rest, I think, the level of intelligence, the level of skills that the youngsters have developed and have the ability is the highest. So my trust in the youth of today is actually more than 200% on a scale of 100. Right? I feel you people can change the world and change it in the way that you want. All you need are the resources and the right education system to do so. And that has to be taught to you from the minute you are born, which means our education system actually needs to change to be able to come up to your level. It's not the other way around. What I see is that education has remained where it is, and you all have evolved. So education has to match up to your expectations, intelligence, skill, and your exposure. So keep working, keep changing the world, but make sure that when you're overconfident, you are humble, you ensure that you are stuck to the roots of where you have begun and contribute to society. And you have the ability to do so. So I really strongly believe in the youth of today.
Ma'am, the World Education Forum that was conducted on August 13, 2018, you have stressed about the need to revamp education and to encourage children in the innate talent. Can you brief about it?
Okay, so I always believe that each one of us is unique and different. And simple proof of that unique and different is our thumb imprint. Your thumb imprint will never match any other human being's thumb imprint. You know that?
Yes.
What does that mean?
Ma'am,
Each one of us is different.
each child is unique.
Each child is unique, which means
child has different talents.
absolutely, right? Now what have we done? We have standardized education. We want every person, irrespective of whoever or whatever talent they have, to be measured in the same manner. Which means we have standardized education for everybody. What did God create for us? Nature create for us? All of us are different. Therefore, education needs to nurture each one's difference, each one's personality, each one's innate ability. So everybody can't be performing and getting 99 in math. Okay? Everybody can't be doing fabulously in history, geography or science.
You need to practice.
We need to practice, that's irrelevant. But you could be excellent in music, isn't it? Why can't you be perfect in practicing your music so that you can contribute to the world through your music? That is what the nature wanted you to do, isn't it? So we believe that innate potential of every child is unique, and therefore each one needs to be nurtured and each one needs to grow beautifully. And that is what I was stressing for, and that is what Millennium Learning System does. Right? It provides a platform to make sure that you learn in a unique way. You do a lot of activities, you can learn it through visually, you can do it through activities, you can do it through being a kinesthetically, learning through doing it. Your every talent is encouraged in your school, isn't it?
Yeah.
So every talent, I mean, I've been seeing it from morning, from theatre to robotics, to dancing, to music, to filmmaking, to script writing. You have done everything yourselves. So what does it mean? That every child here is blooming and growing. And that is the purpose of education. Believe in yourselves, you are different and you are beautiful, nurture it. Yeah?
Amazing. Ma'am, you're multitasking, talented, successful entrepreneur. Share your success month and how to manage time.
That question. Okay. Yes, it's difficult to multitask, but as human beings, I think all of us play different roles. If you know that, you're interacting with your family, at that time you're not an entrepreneur. Isn't it? You're a mother, you're a wife, or you're a cook when you're entering the kitchen because everyone is hungry and you have to give them. And so if you live in the moment, if you live in the moment of that role that you are in, right? So as a mother, when I talk to my children, I'm speaking to them as a mother, or I'm caring for them as a mother. And there is a certain time that I'm a proper mother with them, right? At that moment, I'm not thinking of my work. Or when I'm talking to my husband, we're discussing issues, we're not discussing about a Millennium School issue. But the minute I walk into my office, then I forget being a mother, I forget being a wife, and I'm then the person who's an educationist, who's an entrepreneur, who's at that moment of that role, I just get into that role. I focus on the role that I have at that point of time. Right? So that is an ability that I have over a period of time realized that if I don't do that, I will be doing everything. Right? So focus and concentration on the particular, and being aware of that role is very critical. Right now, I'm not worried about what's happening in my office. I'm enjoying sitting here across with you and talking and chatting with you. Right? So at this moment of time, you are multitasking but without really worried, not getting stressed out about it. So that's one thing that I do. How do I manage time? That is something I always fight. But to be honest, you can manage time if you're physically fit and mentally alert. Now, how do you keep yourself physically fit? I give myself that 1 hour every morning, 1.5 hours to 1 hour to myself, to doing both. That is, I do exercises. It could be yoga, it could be in the gym, it could be
aerobics,
anything. Or I set a time for it every morning, early in the morning, at like 5:30 in the morning, before my day begins. And then I also do a lot of meditation, where I give half an hour to just talking to myself. So what does it do? It sort of keeps me physically fit, the exercise, and mentally I get fit because of my meditation. So when you have 18 hours a day that I work, I'm able to do time management because of my ability to physically manage something. Okay? So it's just a mind block saying, oh, there are too many things you're handling. Yes, there are too many things, but like if you get into the role at that point, and if you're physically and mentally alert at that point of time, you're able to manage. But yes, there is struggles on certain days when too much of work comes in. Then yes, then I do have a tough time and I don't have an answer to that. So then I do get drained on certain days. Yes. So that's my mantra. I don't have any other mantra to talk about.
Ma'am, we really feel grateful for the enjoyable school you provided to us. Thank you so much.
Oh, I'm so happy to hear that. It's a
Rapid fire
dream.
round. What quality do we want to learn from today's generation?
From your, I think the risk-taking ability, the idea to innovate, to think differently, and to do what you believe in doing. At least in our times, we never had this ability. We were told that we had to do something. At least you're thinking that you want to do something different. So I do admire that ability.
Ma'am, the last question is, what quality do you lack?
What quality do you guys have?
Of course,
Patience.
everyone makes mistakes.
Patience. I think you're too much of a hurry to do everything. That's it.
My last question is your hobby.
Oh, my hobby, reading and actually cooking. So thank you so much, everybody. It's been a pleasure to be here, and God bless all of you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.